Good day once again to all our viewers for today in another video class with me, Mr. JP Dizon. Welcome to our first vlog lesson, and we hope that you are well and good in the expense of learning inside your houses or your homes. And for today, we'll be doing some peer teaching with Dr. Griselda Madriaga. Dr. Griselda Madriaga was one of my professors when I was still in college, and she was the one who taught us how to diagram sentences, and we've learned quite a lot from her. Now I was given a chance really to discuss with you and impart what I've learned from her class for your generation or to your generation rather. So for today, we'll be gauging what your level in grammar is through sentence diagramming, or also popularly known as Reed-Kellogg Diagramming. This is one of the first few challenges you'll be facing as language learners. So take your seat and relax. Because this will be this will be a very difficult challenge for you that you have to cope with. Alright, so relax while you view our first vlog lesson. Before we proceed with our diagramming of sentences, we need to first know what Reed-Kellogg diagramming is. So what is Reed-Kellogg diagramming? Reed-Kellogg diagramming is commonly used for traditional grammar in the 19th century to display the structure of the language. Of course, it was pioneered by our dear friends Alonzo Reed and Brainerd Kellogg, which became widely known, of course, for how well they tried to make us understand how the structure of grammar in the language works. So there were lots of different perspectives in 19th century, but Reed-Kellogg diagramming is one of those who withstood, okay, the test of time. And up until now, English language teachers are still using it to let other learners know how to construct sentences and how well they could understand the language in itself. We proceed now with the first sentence diagramming lesson that we have, and we'll be focusing with simple sentence structure. Only that we'll be using as well sentence patterns to make the sentences longer. Right? So I hope you've learned or reviewed your lessons already about sentence patterns, like subject and intransitive verb, subject plus linking verb plus subject complement, subject plus transitive verb plus direct object, subject plus transitive verb plus indirect object plus direct object, and finally we have subject plus transitive verb plus direct object and object complement. So we'll be talking about all of these patterns already and how these patterns are diagrammed, right? Using Reed-Kellogg diagramming. So after this class, we'll be having another type of diagramming, which is what you call IC analysis. But before we proceed with that, let's try to focus first on Reed-Kellogg. What do you need to know in this topic is you need to know your grammar, because if not, there will be a very difficult time for you understanding where to put the words inside the diagram. Know the patterns. Again, as I've said earlier, if you do not know the patterns, you won't be able to diagram the sentences themselves. Okay? So if you still do not have the enough knowledge on how to know the patterns of the sentences, it's high time for you to go back to your books and other tutorial videos in YouTube or whatever channel or media would it be, just for you to be able to plot the patterns. Moving on, we also have to know the subject and the predicate. These are the basics. You also have to go to the basics, and finally you have to know the modifiers and the words, the articles, the determiners, and other words that modify the subject and the predicate, or mainly the subject, the nouns, of course, and the predicate, mainly, of course, the verbs. Let's now first talk about how to diagram the basics. Okay, so here are the steps on diagramming. The first step, of course, is to always draw a horizontal line and of course, to draw a vertical line that goes through the horizontal line. So this one is the line that we've been talking about. Why do we need to draw a vertical line? Is that it marks the demarcation line between the subject, which you will place here, and the predicate, which you'll be placing here. Okay, so if you have any questions in regards with our topic for today, you can go back to this video and ask questions to your teachers or your professor after the video or on your scheduled time. So here is a sample sentence. It is a simple sentence and it is, let's read all together, trees grow. Okay, so this is just a simple subject and of course a simple predicate because you only have one word for each part of the sentence. Now, what you have to do is to put these words on the horizontal line. But how? Where do I put them? Should I put them here? Should I put them there? It's what I've said earlier. The subject goes onto the left side of your screen. And of course, the word grow, which is a verb, goes onto the right side of the vertical line. So as you can see right now, the sentence is already divided into two parts, the subject and the predicate. Now that is just not yet the fun part. The fun part will be the next slides. Okay, so another example will be is to look on the pattern of the sentence. So this is just subject plus intransitive verb pattern for the sentence. So you would not be able or you would not need to put any other lines aside from these two. Okay, but if there are other words put for the sentence, there might be some modifiers that you need to put, which we'll be discussing later on. So the first is you put the word I, which is a subject, and of course walk as your predicate. So the pattern once again is subject plus intransitive verb. Another example for subject plus intransitive verb is this sentence. JV and Griselda teach. But as you can see a while ago, we only have a simple subject, but now we have a compound subject. So how do we diagram a compound subject? Later on, we'll be diagramming as well a compound predicate, so don't you worry. Just take it slow, right? Let's take it one by one, okay? So in order for us to be able to, diagram the compound subject, we need to draw a pencil diagram. So how do you draw a pencil diagram? Okay, that is how you draw a pencil diagram. This one, do not focus yet on this part because that's for the predicate. This is for the subject because you have two items which are JV and Griselda. Okay, so this is the horizontal line supposedly, but since there are two subjects, you need to draw two horizontal lines connected by a dotted line. Okay, so where would JV go? JV would go on top of the pencil because it is the first item of the list. Okay, so now we proceed with the word and will now be put here at the side of the dotted line. Sir, or ma'am, why would it not be inside the triangle? It's not inside the triangle because it does not use correlative conjunction, for example, both and N. Both JV and Griselda teach. There's no word. Let's say, for example, the word both is not yet there. So why we put the word and outside the triangle? If there's the word both, we put both here, and then we put and inside. Okay, so it's as if we're following how you write from left to right. So since there's nothing written on the left side, we put the word and on the left side still before the dotted line. So of course, we don't forget about Ma'am Griselda. Griselda will be put on the bottom part of the pencil because she is the last part of the item or of the list. And finally, we put the predicate after the division between the subject and the predicate. So that's how easy it would be for SIV. Note that the conjunction used will need a dotted line when in diagram. Do not forget this part. Okay. Of course, now we have another example, which is JV and Griselda talk and teach. So as apparent as it may seem, there are two parts of the sentence, the subject and the predicate, and these two parts are also divided into two because you have a conjunction and. So which means that both of the parts of the sentence are compound. So how do we diagram compound predicates and compound subject in one sentence? Likewise, if the predicate or the verb is compound, use the same pencil figure. So in this case, you'll be using at least two pencil figures or pencil diagrams in order for you to diagram the subject and the predicate. So of course, follow it through. The first thing that you did will be a pencil figure, or the first thing that you will do rather is the pencil figure, where you need to put JV again, once again, following the chronological order of the list of the items. And of course, the conjunction and still outside the triangle, followed by the last item of the list, which is Griselda. Once again, put the vertical line, which marks the division between the subject and the predicate, and finally another pencil figure for your compound predicate. So of course, take a guess, which among the two will be put on top of the list? Alright, very good. So it would be talk. Talk is the first word on the list, and of course we also have the word and, which is now inside, and finally we have the word teach, serve, and map. Why is it that the word and is inside the triangle now? Again, as I've said a while back in the recent slide, the conjunction and should follow the on how you write. It's as if it's a spatial. It's spatial, which means S-P-A-C-I-A-L, spatial element. Okay, so if there's the word both there, you put the word both here and the and outside. But since this case did not use any correlative conjunction, we just put the word and inside the triangle. Okay, followed again by a dotted line. So please do not forget the dotted line on the conjunctions used. But sir, another question. What if there are three parts of the compound subject? You only have to put another vertical line here in the middle, and then you put Griselda and then another name. If there's another name, you say Carlos. So Carlos will be put on the bottom part of the pencil. Okay? So how about here? You talk, speak, and teach. Okay? So the word speak will be on this part. You just draw another vertical line, not a dotted line, but a vertical or a horizontal line rather. You draw a horizontal line between here in the pencil. Okay? So if there would be any questions, we would be entertaining them once we log into class. Okay, so now moving on, we'll be now having adverbs and adjectives. A while ago, you did not see anything yet put under the horizontal lines, but rather all of the words are still above the horizontal line. So this is now where the fun comes in. Other words that are not very important in the sentences, or just add another information for the whole sentence, they fall under or below the horizontal line or the baseline. Okay? So if you're going to ask me what the important parts of the sentence here, it's the words, or they are the words trees and growth. Okay? Later on, we'll be discussing how you would diagram this, but adjectives and modifiers such as adverbs are placed on slanted lines. So which means you're going to draw a slanted line below the horizontal line. Okay? Directly below the words they are modifying. So make sure that you know what the words below are modifying, because if you place them on another part of the sentence which they are not modifying, it makes your whole diagram wrong. One mistake in the whole diagram will make your diagram a complete mess, or it's not considered as correct as it would be. Okay, so we'll be focusing first with sentence plus intransitive verb. Again, the subject will be trees. It's one of the most important subject. It's one of the most important words in the subject. Okay, but if you're going to be asked what the simple subject would be, it's just trees, followed by the word grow, which is just a simple predicate. So now you have been reminded to draw a horizontal line first and a vertical line, and then you divide the sentence into two, the subject and the predicate. So now, where would the words young, fine, quite, fast go? Of course, they would be put at the bottom part of the horizontal line. So which of the following words describe the trees? Of course, it's going to be young and fine. Okay, so young will be placed under the word trees as it describes the age of the trees, and fine would be put below the word of the trees once again because it describes what type of tree the tree is. And of course, fast and quiet will be put under grow. But the question is, where would you put the word fast? And where would you put the word quiet? Would you put the word quiet, like the word young was placed under the trees? Which of the following words directly describe the word grow? So we're talking about adverbs now. Okay? So if you said the word fast describes the word grow directly, you were correct. Okay? Because quiet describes the word fast. How fast? Quiet. Okay? And how quick does the tree grow? Fast. Okay? So that is how we diagram adverbs and adjectives into a sentence. Again, if there are any questions or clarifications, we would be able or we would be glad to assist you in our virtual classrooms. So don't hesitate to give us a chat or give us a message on your virtual classrooms. Okay, proceeding with another diagramming. We're now going to talk about direct objects. Direct objects is or are a part of the sentence. Okay, so it requires another diagramming method. We'll be focusing on the sentence, she ate chocolates. Alright, maybe you're aware of what direct objects are, but to make you aware once again what DOs are, direct objects are nouns or words that answer the what question. She ate chocolates. What did she eat? The answer to that will be chocolates. So that makes chocolates our direct object. And now the pattern we'll be focusing is sentence plus transitive verb plus direct object. How do we diagram direct objects? Just draw again the horizontal line followed by the vertical line that crosses the horizontal line, which marks again a division of the subject and the predicate. Of course, now you have to add another straight line, a vertical straight line, or a straight vertical line rather. That would signify that this part will have a direct object. So what is our subject? The subject is she. The verb will be ate. And of course, she ate what? She ate chocolates. And that is how you're going to diagram STVDO pattern. But how about when we diagram subject plus transitive verb plus indirect object plus direct object? Once again, we'll be acquiring or we'll be needing another diagramming method for that. So here is how you're going to diagram an indirect object. Indirect objects answer the question to whom and for whom. A while ago, I asked you what she ate. Now, I will be asking you what she gave. So what did she give? She gave chocolates. So this becomes now your, it becomes now your direct object. And this now becomes, to whom did she give the chocolates? Kyle. So this now becomes your indirect object. Okay? So with that having said, we'll now be diagramming the indirect object and the direct object in one sentence. And we'll be having now the pattern FCVIODO. How do we diagram indirect objects in a sentence? So of course, you follow the structure for STVDO, and of course, we're just going to add the indirect object of the sentence below the word gave. So that's how you're going to diagram STVIODO pattern. She gave what chocolates? To whom did she give the chocolates? To Kyle. Please do not forget that you're going to draw a slanting line and a parallel line to the horizontal line below your verb. Okay, there's no other place for indirect objects but under the verb. Right? If there are any other clarification you would want to be addressed, please don't hesitate us to send us a message. Please don't hesitate to send us a message. And of course, we also have here diagramming of subject and object complements. We've been diagramming SIV, STVDO, STVIODO. We'll now diagram SLVSC and STVDO OC, where we will be using complements. Okay, so for a refresher, what are subject complements? Subject complements are either nouns, pronouns, or adjectives that describe the subject. They follow through a linking verb. So that is why it is said to be SLV-SC. Meanwhile, object complements are usually nouns or adjectives that rename the direct object or says what it has become. So in the first part, subject complements describe the subject, meanwhile object complements describe the direct object. Alright, so in the diagram, this will become very much apparent for you to be able to understand SC, because SC points back to subject, and the line that the object complement signifies points back to the direct object. An example of an SLV-SC pattern here is I am a teacher. The pattern once again is SLV-SC. And how will you be diagramming SLV-SC patterns? Here's how. Draw a horizontal line. Of course, know the subject. And then put the vertical line once again, followed by your linking verb. Am, is, are, was, where are your linking verbs and your modals. You can be using them, or you can use them in sentences in SLV-SC patterns. So which among the two words is your subject complement? Is it a or is it teacher? If you answer teacher, you are correct. Teacher here describes the word or the subject I. Okay? So it kind of renames who the subject is. It gives you another information about the subject. Okay? And of course, the modifier or article should also be put below the word it modifies. So teacher is modified by the word a. Okay, moving on, we'll be having another sentence which is I consider him my friend. Okay, so it is very much apparent that this is STVDOOC right now. So how do we diagram now STVDOOC pattern? Of course, you need to follow once again the horizontal line, the vertical line between the subject and the predicate, and follow how you diagram STVDO pattern. Okay, so this is a line. Once again, it does not cross the horizontal line because you do not need two divisions of a sentence. You only have one division. It's the subject and the predicate. So you just have to put a straight line to signify the direct object, which is him. And of course, finally, which word describes him? Of course, friend. Whose friend would it be? The word my will be put below the word friend because he is my friend. Okay, so here as you can see, the line is slanting and it points back to your direct object. So which means that the friend here describes him. Finally, the last part of our sentence diagramming and the basics of sentence diagramming will be diagramming prepositional phrases. Now, there are lots of phrases that we can discuss about, but they are very much complex already. There are like gerundial phrases, participial phrases, appositive phrases, and whatnot. But we'll be talking about first prepositional phrases because these are phrases that go with simple sentences, which make the sentences, okay, longer and lengthy. Alright, so Jay listened on the radio. How do you diagram prepositional phrases? Once again, you follow. So this is SIV. J is your subject, verb, listen, so that's your predicate. Where would you put on? Of course, where did he listen? He listened to or on the radio. So please do not forget that this line intersects or crosses the parallel line where you will put the object of the preposition. The object of the preposition is the noun that you can see in the whole phrase. So on the radio is your prepositional phrase. So this is how you're going to diagram a prepositional phrase. Okay, because it kind of answers where he listened on or to. Okay? And of course, please do not forget as well that articles and other determiners will be put directly below the word they modify through a slanting line. Alright, so I guess that's it for our sentence diagramming for sentence patterns. Should you have any concern or any problems with the discussion, please do not hesitate to send us a message in your virtual classrooms. We'll be proceeding with our discussion inside the classroom and we'll be proceeding with answering some activities given to you by your professor or given by me, of course, in our scheduled time. Alright, so you can check this out once again. Maybe if you were confused, you can check this out once again later on this afternoon or this evening or in any time if you can. Okay? You can also search for other samples over the internet in order for you to master sentence diagramming. So after sentence diagramming of the patterns, we'll be diagramming, of course, sentence structures. Alright, so maybe that would become a very taxing job for us since we're going to diagram now compound sentences, complex sentences, and compound complex sentences. But we opted first to know the basics, which is why we focus first on the sentence patterns. So once again, relax, take a breather, okay, and maybe try to wrap your minds around on what we've discussed already. These are very technical topics that you need to master in order for you to know how grammar and the language work. Right? So I guess that's it. Watch out for our next vlog lesson. And thank you very much for taking up the time with us to be with us in this virtual or vlog lesson that we did for today. I hope you have a good day and I hope you are safe in this pandemic and I hope all the best for you. Alright, once again I am Mr. Dizon and this is a partnership with Dr. Griselda Madriaga for our class in Structures of the English Language. Alright, goodbye and thank you. BSED 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1. And to all our other viewers who watched this over YouTube, I hope you've learned something and I hope you've known how hard it is to be a language learner or to be a teacher, of course, of English. Okay, so goodbye and thank you once again and watch out for our next vlog lesson.